going to discuss something like what is the difference between the cloud and on-premises, and like then we will pitch into the cloud, Azure cloud, what is Azure cloud, and like what is the difference between the other clouds and Azure cloud, and then the cloud deployment models and different services offered by the cloud provider, and the capex and opex, and then pricing calculators, Azure pricing calculators, and then we will see Azure portal overview, how Azure portal looks like. Okay, let me start one by one. Let me go with this topic. What's the difference between the cloud and on-premises? See, like this cloud journey was started like just like beyond 10 years or 15 years back. Before that, like we don't have cloud. Okay, and during that time we have something like on-premises environment. On-premises in the sense like it is something like everything we have to manage. For example, let me take one example like yeah, on-premises. Take one example in past, right? Like we are having, if you want to like host any application, right? We need there was some requirement on infrastructure side. Like what type of requirement was there? Like we need a servers, and we need some networking, and we need like softwares. There were some different dependency softwares will be there, and we need some hardware system like this, and we need to give some surveillance and some extra security, and power will be there. All these things we need to take care. Like if you are going to host anything on your in your network, it is this will call it as a private data center, because everything was handled by you. And if anything comes like on security part, like you are having the full-fledged access on this part, because it is hosted in your own environment and in your own premises. Okay, this will call it as a on premises. On top of this, right, like if anything happens at any layer, and everything you have to take care, and your team have to monitor the 24/7. In unfortunately, if anything, like if they want to scale up, and like again they have to place some order to HP or Dell, and like they need to get that server, and they have to shift this burden into that server, and together they have to make that like the connection between these two servers, and then like they can increase that capacity. Like this, the upgradation, everything you have to manage, and you'll have the full access, and everything you can manage that, because everything is hosted in your network. And this will call it as a on premises. And here, right, like all these the server storages, networking, and the virtualizations and operating systems and middleware and applications and data, and everything you have to manage. All these things you have to manage, and you'll have the full access. Okay, and like there are some drawbacks with this. The main drawback is something like the maintenance. For example, let's take one example. And you're hosting some banking. You have one banking company. You have something like 2000 plus branches, 2000 plus branches, and like you are hosting around like something around 400 plus servers. Okay, and we are hosting something like 400 plus servers for 200 plus branches. And now here, Like in banking sector, like we will have the demand, like there will be some continuous demand over in banking sector. So like this will work here. And let's take some e-commerce application. And we have something like 500 plus servers in e-commerce application. I will mark e-com. Okay, in e-commerce, like we are having something like a 500 plus servers. And here, right, 500 servers, and like there was some, we have announced some sales, and due to sales, like the regular demand, like the demand got increased automatically, and like whatever the servers I have, right, this is not enough for to host this sales. But like I need to increase its capacity. I need like minimum 700, like 200 plus additional servers are required for this sale. During this sale, I need 200 plus servers. 200 plus servers are required during the sale. And at 500 plus 200, I need total 700 plus servers to complete the sale period. To complete the sale period, I need 700 plus server. And now in on premises, and like I have 400 already, these are running on daily, and like I need to bring these 200 additionally. Now what I will do, if I host the server on premises, right, I will purchase this extra 200 plus servers. Along with 500, I will purchase this 200 extra servers. So now I have total 700 plus servers now. And yeah, my sales completed, like my sale period completed successfully. And post that, drastically my whatever the demand was there, right, the demand got reduced. The demand got reduced from 200 to maybe 500 or 400, I don't know, like assume like the demand got reduced to 400. 400. And now we have 300 servers ideally, which we are not using now. Only during the sale period we need these servers, and post that these servers are not required. And even if the servers are not required, even though if you are hosting these servers in on premises, you have to do you have to provide continuous maintenance for these 300 servers. Something like you have to provide power, and you have to give some network internet. All these things you have to provide, even if you're not using, even if those servers are in ideal state, even though you have to take care of those servers. And this is creating something like extra burden to the companies, extra maintenance to the companies. Like even if we are not using, even though we need to take care all these servers, and like a separate team was required who can handle them. The hardware team is required, the network team is required, and the surveillance team is required, and some admin team is required. So many teams required. Even if you use, you won't use, just for servers. Okay, so there was some lot of drawback with this infrastructure. And because of this reason, and most of the organizations, they are moving towards the cloud. And for example, even if you are having some demand, and if you want to increase your server capacity immediately, it is not possible in on premises. For example, like during my sale, right, I have completed like a 700 plus, like it reaches its limit. Again I want to increase, then again what I have to do, I have to place some order. I have to place some order, and then post that. Again it will take couple of days to deliver that particular server. And post that our team needs to take care some part, some migration part, and like the dividing the load, and all these things they have to take care. So again there will be some delay, even if you are having some demand. Okay, and all these drawbacks was exist in on-premises environment. So because of that reason, nowadays the most of the companies they are moving towards the cloud. Cloud is something like uh, we no need to take care anything. Everything they will take care. Just like whatever we are using based upon our demand, we need to pay only for that. We need to pay like whatever the utilization we are uh, like whatever the services we have utilized from them, they are the service providers, and whatever the service we have utilized and like whatever the duration it took, only for that we are going to pay. Okay, let's come to cloud. This cloud, right? This cloud is something like everything like for example, let me take, yeah, in cloud, right? In cloud computing, it is something like we know, like already we have a few major cloud providers, and AWS and Azure, Microsoft, and GCP. These three are the major cloud providers in current market. And here, what type of services they will provide? They will provide services like servers and storages and databases and networking, and like we have something like VM, like VM servers, and like they will give some AI, so many different ETL and some analytics and DevOps. So many services they will provide based upon your demand. Okay, and these servers are physically exist in different locations across the globe in their own data centers, and just we need to access these services like we have something like portal. Okay, with the help of portal, like we can manage our services. With the help of portal we can manage our services, and you can create like whatever the services you want, and you can manage them, and you have to pay for them. And like all these services are accessible via internet with the help of portal. Okay, through internet, like we'll access all these servers, the servers, databases, storages, and networking, the AI, ETL, analytics, or all these services. We have the different web pages, and with the help of that, we can connect to that portal, and like we can manage like however you want based upon your requirement. And this cloud journey started in the year of like between something like around 2006 and 2010. During that period, this cloud journey was started. And something like first like AWS, they have started their journey in the year of 2006, and post that, and like Azure, Microsoft Azure, they have started the journey around something like 2010, and GCP, they have started their journey around 2011. And like along with these cloud providers, we have other cloud providers as well, something like Oracle, Rackspace, uh, like Tensor, like that we are having different like IBM and Alibaba. Like that we are having other cloud providers as well. And like but like the major cloud provider is something like the most of the market was occupied by these cloud providers, the AWS, Azure, and GCP. And already we have discussed, and like again, I want to pitch into the topic, something like why the cloud is demand today, and why the cloud is demand. Something like there was something like a rapid development in current market, because we are getting so many features, so many applications, and different applications we are coming, and like different types of data we are getting, and there was so many things was happening in the current market. And this cloud is more helpful for the startups. Why I'm saying like it is more helpful for the startups, like you no need to create the infrastructure. See, because whenever you want to start any organization, there will be some infrastructure is required for that. Some basic infrastructure is required, and for that infrastructure you have to spend some amount on server wise, on networking wise, or some space wise, everything you have to spend some amount. So like when you spend that amount in current market, right, you may stay in competition or you may not. If you stay, then that is your luck. Like if you not stay, then obviously like there will be a huge loss on the organizations. Okay, so because of that reason, like what startups will do, instead of investing on infrastructure side, they will invest on like they won't invest, like they will choose something like a cloud. Cloud is something like how many months he uses, like only pay for that. He's not going to purchase that infrastructure. He's not going to purchase that, just he's going to pay for the maintenance, like whatever he use. And like we are having something like global scalability. We can scale like as much as we want the scalability. And we have something like disaster recovery. And like if something happens for your data center, for example, you are staying in one city, and due to some what I can say like cyclones, or due to some earthquakes, you lost your data center, then you can't able to access your data. Okay, so like entire, if you lost the data center, then you will lose your business. So to protect your business, we have something like disaster recovery in cloud. You can place your data across the globe, or else like across the cities, in different areas. Okay, that type of features we are having. And we can access remotely and wherever, like we can access like wherever we want via internet. If you have a good amount of internet, right, then you can able to access throughout the globe. That kind of feature we have in Azure. And we have the security, like high level security will be there, and like the data level security will be there, and row level security will be there, and on networking layer security will be there. Different layers of security you can apply in cloud. And you don't need to worry about the power or cooling, and on backend internet, everything he is going to take in care. These many features we are having in the cloud. This is overall of a cloud. Okay, like in cloud, right, like we are having different types of deployment models, something like public, private, and hybrid. And we have something like community as well. Deployment models, this will call it as a cloud deployment models. And in this we have something like public, private, and hybrid, and community. Public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, and community cloud. What is mean by public, private, hybrid, and community? See, like public means already we heard something like AWS, Azure, and GCP. These are the major cloud providers along with IBM, Alibaba, and all. And like their services, anyone can use. Anyone in a sense, like any organization, Netflix or YouTube or some any company, some Walmart or IKEA, any company can use their services. It is not restricted to some XYZ company. Only this company needs to use. It is not something like that. If you can create your own account in that, Azure, and then you can manage like whatever the services you want, and you can create and you can use and you can pay for that. This we will call it as a public cloud. Okay, anyone can use, anyone can share their services. And we have something like private cloud. And private cloud means this particular cloud will be restricted to specific organization. Okay, like who will choose this private cloud environments? Something like banking companies, because they need more privacy, and the government sectors, because they will host the public data. They need some private cloud, private environment. Okay, this kind of like this, whoever required something like most secured platform, like the infrastructure site. So what they will do, like they won't trust others, because these are the third party cloud providers, right? AWS or Azure or GCP or IBM, some Oracle or XYZ. Okay, they are the third party cloud providers, because they don't want to keep their data in other environments. So what they will do, like they will create their own cloud environment, and it is restricted to that particular organization, not the whatever the services they have created, they have developed, and that is restricted to only that particular organization. Okay, others can't able to utilize that. That we will call it as a private cloud. And we have something like hybrid cloud. Hybrid in the sense it's a combination of private and public. It's a combination of private and public. A combination of private and public. Like here, right? It's a combination in the sense, like whatever the sensitive data they're having, right, that data they will host in private, and rest of the things will be managed in cloud. The sensitive part will be managed in a private network, private environment, and rest of the things they will maintain in public. It is something like it is shared, and whatever the services they want to host on public, they'll host over there, and whichever the services they want to host in privately, that they'll host in private cloud, their own cloud environment. This combination we will call it as a public plus private. And we have something like community cloud. Community in the sense, something like for example, we have universities, and we have something like banking sectors, and we have something like some automobile sector or some hospital sector. Okay, take any community, and here what they will decide, the entire community will create their own cloud environment only for their community, not for others. Something like take example as banking, or take example as hospital or universities. They will create their own cloud environment, and that will be restricted to only that particular community, either hospitals or to banking or to universities, some XYZ, something like that, or e-commerce. Okay, like that, instead of going into something like private is too costly, and instead of going into the public, and they can create their own cloud environment for their community, and it will be shared in that particular community. Okay, this is all about the cloud deployment model. This we'll call it as a cloud deployment models. And we have something like cloud offerings. What is mean by cloud offerings? In cloud offerings, right, we have different types of services. IaaS and PaaS and SaaS. And we have some few more, something like FaaS, and we have few more services, FaaS, something like that. Okay. This is not required now, and we will see that later. And let me go with the first. We have with the first one. This we will call it as a infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service. And this we will call it as a platform as a service. And this we will call it as a software as a service. Okay. Infrastructure as a service and platform as a service and software as a service. Like what is the difference between IaaS, PaaS and SaaS? Okay. In IaaS, right? Let's take one. Before this, we can add something like on premises as well. On premises, okay. Everything you can manage, okay. And in on premises, it is something like everything you can able to manage. Whatever the on infrastructure side, whatever the things we have, right, to host any application, like everything you will have the access, full access. Let me show you the image just for your clarity. Yeah, yeah. I think you can able to see my screen, the image which I am showing. And here we have something like on premises, and this is a infrastructure as a service and platform as a service and software as a service. And in on premises, and you will have the full access in all the layers on networking or storage, servers and virtualization, OS, middleware, runtime, data, and application. You'll have the full access in on premises. And when we comes to infrastructure side, right, like in cloud, right, and we have something like infrastructure. For infrastructure, we will take example as a virtual machine, okay. And in virtual machine, we will have something like you can you'll have the full access on virtualization on servers, sorry, like these the virtualization, server, storage and networking. This will be managed by the cloud provider. This will be managed by the cloud provider. And the OS middleware and runtime and data and application, these you can able to manage by your own in infrastructure side. And we have something like platform. In platform also, like till runtime, the cloud provider is going to maintain and he's going to manage everything. And the data and application you have to manage. And the software as a service, like here is like it is something like, for example, in Gmail, right, take example as a Gmail for software as a service. There is nothing to do in that. Just like we will create one account, and just like whatever the work you want to do, some dropping mails or storing some data into the drive or something, you can do whatever the things you want. But like you don't have the development access to develop some customize that application. It is something like that. And platform is just you can use like whatever some minor like you can work on that, but you don't have access on the server part. The infrastructure, like you'll have the access on these 5 layers, okay. And we have these categories in Azure. Let me go to Azure. This will call it as Azure chart. And if you come here, right, we can you can see something like all services here. And you want to see only infrastructure as services, just you can click on this drop down and just select this IaaS. And once we select it, and these are the infrastructure as a services in Azure. The VM and dedicated host virtual machine and scale set and Azure storage and the managed disk. All these services are the infrastructure as a service. And then let me select the PaaS, the platform as a services. See, these are the platform as a service. PaaS services. These are the PaaS services. And let me select the SaaS, and these are the SaaS services. Okay, like we don't need to worry. Like just if you open these charts, then we can able to see here like what are the IaaS, what are the PaaS, and what are the SaaS. This was managed by the Azure. And these are something like the mainstream, and these are the mainstream services, the AI related thing, the streaming for the data streaming purpose, and the strategic services. Okay, the APIs and all will be managed here. And yeah, and we have something like which all the services will support for the auto scaling, and which all the services will be support for the metrics and alerts, and the reservations, which are the services you can reserve for a while. All this, like you can select, once you select this filter, automatically you can see those, and accordingly you can take a decision which service is going to helpful uh, for your application or for your project. Okay, on this basis only we will take the decision. Okay, and yeah, this is like this is the difference between the IaaS, PaaS, and the SaaS. Any doubts in this before moving to the next session? Next session. I think it's clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And before coming here, right, after this, right, we have something like a capex, and opex. What is the difference between the capex and opex? Capex, in the sense, it's a capital expenditure, and opex means operational expenditure. Capex means capital expenditure, and opex means operational expenditure. And like the capex, in the sense, it is something like one-time investment. Like whenever you are hosting your servers, like whenever you are starting any software industry or any particular thing, any product you are developing or something, for that some investment is required, some machinery is required. uh, like in software sector, let's take like you need some what I can say, the servers is required, or some chairs is required, or some the what I can say like the some laptops or some accessories is required. Okay, and all these things are we are going to give something like a one-time investment, and which is required to start one organization. Okay, and the purchasing one time is something like a capital expenditure, and going forward, and the maintenance we will call it as a operational expenditure. For example, I have purchased a laptop, that I will call it as a capital expenditure, and I need to give some power to that, and that I will consider as a operational expenditure, and I need to give some internet for that, that I will call it as a operational expenditure. That is not something like one time investment anyhow, like we need that continuously. Okay, and something like that. Okay, whenever you're starting any company, right, during that time whenever you invest some amount, that will call it as a capital expenditure, and like going forward, like whatever the maintenance was there, that will call it as a operational expenditure. So like this capex is keep on increasing for each and every company. Because of that reason only, everyone is moving towards the cloud, because just everyone wants the operational expenditure. They don't want to invest more on the capex, on capital expenditure. Just they want to focus on the operational side. They don't want to focus on the here. Okay. And we have something like Azure pricing calculator. Azure pricing calculator. And what this Azure pricing calculator will do, and whenever you're starting any project, right, and like we need to estimate some budgets, and see here, right, we are having different types of services, and all the services are not same cost. Each and every service is having its own unique price. Okay. And like fewer two cost and fewer less cost, and fewer something like based upon your run, and they're going to charge something like that. Okay. And let's take here for example, and let's take example as virtual machine. This is virtual machine. I took this virtual machine now, and by default I can see some price here. See, I can see something like there he's going to charge something like around $137 month per month, and he's not charging any upfront cost. Just he's charging the monthly, like whatever I have utilized for that he's going to charge. And this is something like $137, right? Now let me change this, and let me change from East to West to something like Switzerland. Previously we had $137. Now the price got increased from 137 to 168. See, whenever you are changing the location, based upon your location also the price is going to vary, and you have to choose the near by location, and you have to check like where you'll get the cheaper than the current location, and how you can able to access, because everything will be accessible via internet, right? So like you can choose accordingly, and which in which location it will be helpful. And whenever you change the location, obviously the price is also going to vary. And see, you can see the virtual machine 1 into 730 hours, and this was something like they're calculating into hours, like how many hours it will be in start state. And here in pricing also we are having something like different types of prices. We have something like savings plan and the reservations, and we have this kind of plans we have. Okay. And if I choose something like a savings plan, and here like you can pay something like upfront. See, the upfront cost something like seven eight hundred and 78 dollars. Okay. And if you choose this plan, you will get something around $24, oh, sorry, 24% discount on your actual price. Okay. And if you choose something like 3 years savings plan, then you will get something like 45% discount. Okay. And we have something like reservation also. A reservation is something like uh, you have to reserve that particular service with a set of configuration. uh, okay, like you have to reserve that particular service with a set of configuration. Okay. Like that is something like for 3 years or 1 year. Okay. Something like that. Okay. And when we will choose like if you reserve this particular service for 1 year, and you'll get around something like 37% of discount. And if you reserve this particular service for 15 like 3 years, you'll get something around 59% of discount. But here, right, like what's the difference between the savings and here the reserve, right? And like whenever you want there, whenever you have some change in your workload, then you have to choose something like whenever, like for example, I have selected some specific capacity, and there was some change slightly, and like you want some flexibility, then in that case you can choose something like Azure savings plan. And in reserve, right, you have to reserve with a set of configuration for a while. You don't have some extra like you don't have the much flexibility in reserve, in the scaling up and scaling down side. Okay, that's the major drawback. Okay, like just that's the issue. And here, right, for this plan, for reserved instance, only this particular service will be covered. Only virtual machine only we have this option. And like for savings plan, right, we have like multiple Azure services, but for reserved, like we have only for Azure virtual machine. Only this particular service we can able to reserve for a while, not all. And yeah, this is overall of, about something like a pricing calculator, and you can choose like whichever the service you want, and you can take something like a total cost of service per month. Like if you use something like a couple of services, the storages or some uh, what I can say like the VMs or some other services, like you can take the total cost. Okay, and here, right, this is the portal. Okay, and if you want to log into this, if you want to jump into this portal, right, just you need to search something like portal.azure.com. Once you select this, right, you'll get something like the pop-up message. You need to sign in. You need to provide the details which you have provided while creating this Outlook account. And if you provide those details, right, then you can able to open this, log into this account. And post this, right, this is the Azure portal, and you can create like whatever the services you want here. Okay, and these are the something like the favorite spot here, and you can see all the favorites, and these are the default favorites, and you can add whichever service you want into this favorite list. And here this will call it as Azure global search. You can search whichever the service you want. Whenever I search for something, right, for example, storage. Okay, and you can see here the services you can see, and you can see few services in the marketplace. Along with these, you can see some documentation as well. If you click on this, you will jump into the documentation. And if you want to learn something, you can learn from here. Okay, and this will call it as a Azure search. And this is a co-pilot which is going to help you if you face any issues, and if it is not resolvable, then you have to connect with the Microsoft team. Then they will help you. And this we will call it as a cloud shell. And this particular cloud will be managed with the help of different tools in the sense like you can create the services with the help of PowerShell or Azure CLI or some Terraform or different coding tools you can use. Some tools you can use, and like IAC tools you can use, and you can deploy your services into Azure. And either you can use some externally or by passing the credentials, or else you can use this Bash or PowerShell. And once you go here, and like you have to choose the subscription under, post that the window will be opened, and you can give your command, and based upon your command it will create the services, and you can manage. Either you can create, you can delete, or you can provide some access to someone else. You can do whatever you want. And this is something like the notification icon, and it will like whenever you do some action, and it will be notified here. and this is something like the settings, and you can customize your application like this view however you want. And you can see this is your active subscription. Like once you create this account, right, you have to see this. If it is in active state, then you can able to utilize this account, you can able to manage the services, or else you can't able to create any service in this port. If you want to manage something, then it should be in active state. And if you have something like multiple directories, you can switch one among another. For same, like let's take one organization. In one organization, like if you are the architect, like you will have the access to multiple projects. Okay, you'll have access to multiple projects. So like you'll have access to multiple projects, then you no need to, you won't get something like the multiple mail IDs. Only the one mail ID will be there, and you'll have the different directories. Just you need to switch from one another in whichever the directory you want. You can do something like that. Okay, in appearance, something like in dashboard, right? We can customize something like the dashboard or the home, and where what is the last visited, and either you want the dark mode, the flyout or dark. All this is something like the customizing the home page. You can customize your home page however you want, and you can choose. I don't want to do any changes for now, and you can choose your own language, like whichever the language you prefer to view this portal. And this is your information, and your mail ID will be there, and the Azure plan, you can select the portal is which is personalized, and like for what you want to use this portal. And this is a sign out, and like if you are not accessing this portal, and if you want to sign out automatically, you can select that, and you can prefer some time, and you can select some time, and accordingly you will be signed out from the account, from the portal. And this is something like a support. Okay, in Azure we have support. Like whenever you face some issue, first you have to describe about that issue, and you will get some the documents related to that issue. If that issue is not resolvable after looking into those documents, then you can create a support ticket to the IT team, and accordingly the IT team will help you. Okay, and you can say something like I want to face some storage. See, based upon my inputs, like you can get some documents here. Okay, and after looking into these documents, if the issue is not resolvable, then you have to create this support request. Okay, and like here also you will have the plans. Okay, and you can't able to like create a ticket directly. Okay, and like you'll have accordingly, like whatever based upon your plan only, you can able to create your what you can say like ticket. See, we don't have some access. We have something like different plans. We have something like the developer, and we have something like the basic developer and standard, and the professional direct. Like this, we are having different plans. Okay, and well, accordingly only you can able to select. Like let me type here just for your knowledge. We have something like basic, and we have something like a developer, and we have something like standard, and we have something like professional direct. Okay, like this we have different plans, and this is basically is just free. You don't need to pay, and we don't know like when we will get the response if you create any ticket. And if you choose this developer plan, you will get the response within less than 24 hours. Okay? And if you choose something like the standard, and you will get something like the response within less than 1 hour, based upon your severity. 1 hour, and like we have different severities. For severity, only for severity A, only for severity A. And like less than 1 hour, and for remaining severities, the time is something like greater than 4 hours or 8 hours, something like that. And in professional direct, you will get the response within 1 hour for severity A, 1 hour for severity A, and 2 hours for severity B, and something around like 4 hours for severity or C. Okay, like this, that severities will be categorized, and you'll get a quick response. And the pricing is also vary, and this is something like the $1,000 per month, and this is something like $100 per month, and this is something like $29 per month. The pricing this is like $29 per month. The prices is also going to vary and based upon your requirement. Okay, and this is overview of the plan, and this is how we can create the what I can say like the support tickets. And to create any service, right, we have something like hierarchy here. We can't able to create the services directly as it is openly. And before that, you have to check your subscription, under which subscription you are under. Say I am under this Azure subscription. This is something like a free trial which I have created, and here you can grant the access on IAM, and like we have like what is the billing. You can manage your cost, and you can get some cost alerts, and you can create one budget, and post that you will get some alert. All these kind of things you can do here. Okay, and see, you can see something like the remaining $200. The free expires in 30 days, and you'll get some advisor like the advisor recommendations, and you can create the budget. Okay, and you can create the cost alerts, and you can do some cost analysis and which service is utilizing more, and like what's the reason and for why. And based upon that, we can take certain actions on that particular service. You can see the service name and the location and the resource group. Once we create a service and once we start utilizing that service, right, then we can see the charts here. Okay, and you can set up all these things here, like you can see the billing profile, invoices, all these things you can see. Okay, yeah. Anything else? I will show something like the remaining things on tomorrow. I think I have covered all the topics. Yeah.
Anil, I just have a question. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
So as you told, I mean, like before moving to cloud, we were using the on-prem, right? So still now, like, are there few companies using on-prem, or like how is it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Few companies are using their own legacy system, and still the migration work is going on.
Okay.
Yeah, like migration in the sense the organizations moving towards the cloud. They want to deactivate on premises and they want to activate the cloud. It depends, right? If they don't have a much demand, right, obviously they will go with on premises only. Small companies.
So like at that time, like so they create separate accounts for storage and all these kinds. So they won't be using the cloud services, right? In that case.
See, for example, like what I'm saying, the cloud came like just 10 or 15 years back, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And before that, we have something like legacy models. Legacy in the sense like everything is on premises, right? And it is not that much easy to switch from on premises to cloud because already their business is running actively and it takes some time. And what the organizations will do, they will start moving one by one. In one organization also, there will be a multiple projects.
Okay.
There will be multiple projects because we are having different regions right across the globe. There will be multiple projects in each and every country. N number of projects will be there. That is not that much easy to move in single switch, like a single click from on-premises to cloud. They will do because there will be some budgets and it takes some time.
Okay.
Yeah, incrementally, they will do. Like they will reduce the on-premises setup and they will move everything into cloud.
Okay.
Any doubts apart from this? Anyone? I think we are good to close.